Okay, this is KP4MD. We're live on YouTube now.
All right. Well, this is Wilson, N6EMF. Good evening. This is again Wilson, N6EMF, November 6th, Echo Mike Foxtrot, your net control operator for the River City Arcs Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arcs members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. Drop. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another channel. Drop. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Drop. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
Alpha India 6, Delta Golf, Joel.
This is Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta, Carol.
Do we have anyone else checking in this evening? I'll go ahead and check in Carol, KP4MD. Joel, you still there?
Yes, I am. There might have been a double on top of you on one of your earlier transmissions. Could I do a call again to see if there's anyone other than just the three of us? Me, you, and Carol.
Thanks. Great suggestion, Joel. So N6EMF here, Wilson, is net control. I have AI6DG, Joel. I know that Carol's out there, KP4MD. And do we have a number 3? Well, all right. I'll stand by for just a moment and wait for Carol to check in. At the same time, I'm troubleshooting a sound card issue with my SSTV software. So I'll be standing by for just a moment, and I'll be listening for Carol, KP4MD.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. Am I not getting out?
There was a double.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I was wondering, am I not getting out?
Yeah, you doubled. N6EMF here. There was a double, and previously we didn't hear anything from you for a couple of minutes there, but we can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I'm standing by, KP4 Mike Delta. And we have WP2N is on YouTube chat, as well as Kilo November 6 Kilo Oscar Echo, and they're watching on YouTube.
That's great. Sounds like we have a spectacular audience. Welcome to the show. Thank you. So what I'll do is, Joel, if you want to kick off the first picture transmission, go right ahead. N6EMF here.
Make sure I have a tone.
N6EMF is seeing a nice and strong, clear tone. Looks good.
N620, here it is.
Well, all right. N6EMF here. I see a nice job, Joel. I see AI6DG. Photograph comes in pretty clear with just a few speck marks throughout the photo, but I see what appears to be a kit on the assembly line, maybe, at a workbench, and soldering iron on the right, a pair of wire cutting dikes upper left-hand corner with the red handles and needle nose pliers to the lower left, what looks like a black underlayment or anti-static pad, perhaps, for the kit. Obviously, L-shaped circuit board, LCD screen, a few other kit knickknacks that I can't identify, but apparently some discrete electronic, passive electronic components, maybe some type of potentiometer. And I can't tell what the white thing is. Is that another circuit board or a printed circuit, a breadboard? Can't quite tell. But something bright and shiny, maybe white or metallic. And from there, I missed the little rubber feet. But from there, and maybe an instrument cluster mount. But from there, I'll turn it over to Carol, KP4MD, for an assessment.
Okay, thank you very much, N6EMF and AI6DG. This is KP4MG. I see everything that you're seeing as well, and yeah, I had, I guess, a little bit of a slant adjustment about 2/3 of the way down the screen. You can see where there's a discontinuity, like the whole picture shifts a little bit over to the left, and I think that has to do with the probably the offset of the calibration of the audio, the soundboard. There's a sound card calibration in MMS STV that if it's off a bit, it loses a little bit on the horizontal sync. And when it compensates for that and does the auto slant correction, you'll see that that little sliver there. You see along the top left 2/3 of the picture that you can see on my YouTube. So, but I'm going to hazard a guess that Joel, this might be that box you were talking about, which had to do with rotator control. I'm just guessing because I think I recognize that panel. So back to net control. This is KP4MZ.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. That was a pretty good guess. Is it a rotator controller? That's what we'll ask. And yeah, thanks for the tip on the slant correction. I did the same thing halfway through the transmission on the receive side here. I was able to correct the slant, and it took care of the whole photograph, even the previously received data. So it did correct the entire photograph, which I was really surprised to see that. So thank you for that tip. I think that information will benefit members of the audience, and as well as having it on record. It's a useful lesson. So let me say thank you for that and turn it over to Joel for a description of his picture. AS6DG is N6 EMF here. Go ahead.
Yes, this is the rotor control, the box on the very top is upside down, but it does say rotor on it. And this is me laying out the parts and looking at it before I started building it, and I thought I'd take a nice pretty picture. So yes, diagonal cutters, the needle nose on the left to cut leads and to bend leads, soldering iron on the right. The control box for that is out of picture. And good catch on the anti-static foam. Yep. I always should be building on something, and I've done some statically sensitive stuff, so at one point in the past I bought some anti-static pad. It's actually starting to fall apart, so I'll probably have to replace it at some point. So it's going from the left. Bottom left, there's a black bezel. Going up from the black bezel, there's the L circuit board. That's actually, there's a Arduino controller on there, and I think the USB controller and probably some other components. Above that, you've got some header pins. The long rectangular thing is actually a tube that's got some relays on it. To the left of the long rectangular that contains the relays is actually I think it's a DB15 hood to go on a DB15 connector. That's the interface that plug on the back of the box, actually. The box itself upside down up on the top center. Below that, there is another white circuit board. This has like it's got the relays on it. It's got the DB15, the USB plug, some other miscellaneous components. The red things are little headers for jumpers, because depending upon how you jump this kit, it can be used in a lot of different ways, which is one of the nice things about it. Some diodes. There's some diodes right below that. Then the feet, and then below the feet, between the bezel and the LCD display, it looks like a pot, but it's a potentiometer. It's not. It's actually an encoder, so it sends little signals as you turn left and right. So to the right of that, the actual LCD display module. Going up from that, there's one resistor that's kind of greenish. The knob for the encoder. The black thing is a choke, an inductor. There's three lit push switches that are the white clear things going up. You've got some blue things. The top blue things are capacitors. The bottom blue things look like capacitors, but they're not. I think they're MOVs. They're used to protect the signals coming in on USB and the rotor interface, DB15. The yellow, another cap. Okay, starting at the top and working down on the extreme right, we've got 3 10-turn pots, an Allen wrench to use with the hardware that's below that, and then 2 DB15s, a male and a female. Where's the USB plug? Oh, the USB plug is the little shiny thing directly to the left of the white circuit board. This is a pretty simple kit. Wasn't too complex. Mechanical assembly. A lot of things, it's the mechanical assembly that's more challenging than the the soldering. I'm going to let it drop. Actually, the most challenging thing was I didn't pay attention to the instructions, and I put some things together wrong, and then I took it apart and broke some things, and then I had to repair broken things, and I needed to get 3 8-watt resistors, and it turned out to be cheaper to just buy a selection of over 1,000 resistors than it was to find the actual 3 resistors someplace. Basically, I didn't notice some really itty-bitty resistors, and while working in the area, these microscopic surface mount resistors, I messed up. Some of them fell away and some of them disappeared forever. So I had to tack in some 1/8 watt resistors to take their place. Back to net AI6DG.
All right. Well, thank you, Joel. I do appreciate that. Thanks for good detailed explanation of what you got going on there. So, not sure if I missed it, but is this one? I may have missed the detail here, but did you get this one completed yet?
I have it completed, sitting in front of me. I can turn the knob. It's in a test mode. The Arduino has not been programmed with the actual program. It's in a little test mode, so I can turn the knob and have a number go up and down. And there's 3 buttons on the front that I push them, and the light goes on, and I can hear the relay clicking inside. And I actually did do an ohm check to make sure that they're working. I don't have it hooked up though. I have to figure out how I'm going to wire it together with the rotor I'm using. The neat thing about this is it can be used with pretty much any type of rotor, and it comes with the software, so I can, if I need to, I can go in and hack the software to do what I want it to. But the rotor I have is not normal in terms of its interface, so I'm going to have to figure it out. I've got it pretty much in my mind. I just need to sit down and do it. You know, one of those things, you know you can do it, and you just got to find the time, and you just need to sit down and do it. Back to net AI6DG.
Well, thanks for that update. Well, if I had 2 hands free, I'd be clapping for you right now. Well, congratulations on substantial completion for your rotor controller kit. I may have some other questions or points on this, but before I do that, I'll turn it over to Carol, KP4MD, see if she has any follow-ups.
No, just it's a nice project. I see you're very proud of the work you put into it, and it always gives you a sense of accomplishment. I love building kits. Back to net.
Yeah, likewise. I enjoy it too, but it's a time commitment in N6EMF. Yeah, Joel, I might catch up with you on this kit a little bit later, but I obtained a couple rotors that were pretty beat up from weather and aged and don't know anything about them. I want to ask just one last question. If you had a rotor with no controller, are rotors valuable in terms of? I mean, would you dispose of one, or would you try to repair it? Are they easy? Are they inexpensive on the market, or is it? I guess what I'm asking is, are the controllers more costly than the rotors themselves, or what?
The rotors are going to be more expensive than the controller, but the relation between the prices is going to depend upon the type of rotor. I mean, you've got really small rotors for $120 that are big, that are only going to be enough for a TV antenna or a really small 2-meter beam. Then you've got big monster rotors that are you know, $2,000 or $3,000 because they're supposed to go at the top of a tower with a 1,000-pound 40-meter 4-element beam. Those so with that, you've got a lot more money into the tower and the rotor, and you don't care if you spend $500 for a a controller. But those are also more sophisticated controllers because it's going to be higher precision. It's going to be computer controllable as compared to the low-end rotors where you just have a dial that you turn and a light that points as to what direction you're pointing. I mean, there's just like with radios and cars, there's a complete range possibility.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Joel. I got some things to think about. More on it later. We won't drag that out here, but I appreciate that perspective. I hadn't really thought much about rotors and controllers until I got a couple of rotors for free and then discovered that they were corroded. And I think they were just left out in the weather, and they weren't maintained very well. They weren't weatherproof very well. So more on that later. And in fact, well, we'll talk later. But N6EMF here. What I'd like to do now is go to the next operator. We have Carol, KP4MD, and see if Carol is ready to send a picture. How's that?
Okay, N6EMF in the group. This is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. And sure, I'll go ahead and send the picture. And since we've been doing PD120, I'll send one also PD120. Let's get into my stock pictures here. And this is here, right here. It's going to be PD120. And this is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. Okay, back to net control, KP4MD.
Nicely done, Carol, KP4MD, and N6EMF, net control here. And I received a nice and clear picture. I'll briefly describe what I see. I see a picture with how about this? A coconut-flavored, Snow White enclosed, Raspberry Pi computer maybe, with something plugged into one of its USB ports. It looks like a Wi-Fi, or rather a wireless or RF interfaceable Sherry Pi for you. I'm not sure what that is, but it looks like it's running. It's lit up. I see a couple of green LEDs flashing there, and looks like it's on one of my favorite types of materials. That looks like possibly a cutting board. Is that one of my? Is that a cutting board that that's situated on, or some other type of table, like a portable table for that? All-Star Node 53144. It indicates on the bottom of the photo, and I can see KP4MD in yellow on top, /L rather on top. So that's my assessment. Thank you for the beautiful photo, Carol. I got it, and nicely done. I heard you say something about this project just before the net. So let's hear from Joel and see what he has. AI6DG, this N6EMF, turning it over to Joel for his assessment of the photo.
Well, I haven't heard of the project, and I look forward to hearing about it because I'm a little confused about what I'm looking at. I know All-Star and Echolink. I know those, or how you can over the internet connect to networks of repeaters. So I would have thought that the Pi would have had an Ethernet plug into it to hook into the internet somewhere. So I don't know. Obviously it's a Pi. We've got something plugged into it. We've got RF goes out of that, something that's plugged into it because there's a little antenna plugged on the side. And there's a little under the Sherry Pi for You label. I see some. Two green lights, a yellow and a red, and the red I can read. It says as push to talk. I can't really read what the others are. So obviously there's RF involved, there's a Pi involved, and it's probably USB, plugged in through USB. So I guess I just don't know enough about how All-Star works. So back to Net, AI6DG. Oh, and I think it's a Tupperware container, top of a Tupperware container. Could be a cutting board, I suppose. I don't do much in the kitchen, so I'm not sure what cutting boards look like. Now back to Net, AI6DG.
All right, Joel, very good. AI6DG and N6EMF. I use cutting boards in my projects, especially the Teflon ones. I have mounted mobile radios to Teflon boards, and I sometimes solder on them. They have they're easy to work, easy to drill, and sometimes they have handles on them. Anyway, I could see Joel's perspective here that maybe it's the top of a Tupperware box or a plastic enclosure of some kind, but it was just a thought. Nice assessment, Joel. I'll turn it back over to Carol, KP4MD. Please tell us about your project.
Okay, N6EMF and AI6DG. This is KP4MD, and this is a kit that I built just a couple days ago. It's an all-star node. It's called a Sherry, and Sherry is an acronym for SA818 Ham All-Star Radio Interface. And the SA818 is the module that it's built around. It's a all integrated little module. It comes like on a chip with about 18 contacts on it that solders down on a board, and it's a complete walkie-talkie. This one, it comes either for UHF or VHF. I got the one for UHF, and it has a receiver, transmitter. It has a DTMF encode and decode, CT, CSS, also digital sequence coding, whatever they call it. Everything that you find inside the Baofeng, it's in this one little chip, and that's in there. And there's another chip in there which has to do with the voice over IP protocol. And it was so trivial to build this thing. It was only 8 parts I needed to solder on the board. It has some surface mount parts that are already on, so I didn't have to bother with those. But the ones that are through the holes, I did solder. There was the 4 LEDs, the SMA connector, the 2 USB connectors. There's 2 USB connectors that plug into the Pi, and those provide power and also audio to and from the Sherry. And as you can tell, it's a little walkie-talkie integrated chip in there that actually it has the capability of putting out up to 1 watt. They do operate it though at half power to keep it from overheating. And it is linked to the internet. You see the Ethernet is the socket is available for a wire to go into it, but actually I'm linking to it through the Wi-Fi that's built on the Raspberry Pi board. So this is it's an amazing little thing. To get any kind of like a hotspot or a node of this kind used to be uh, quite an expensive thing before. The I already had the Raspberry Pi, so that wasn't I didn't count that as an part of the investment. But the Sherry kit was only $60, and I think it was very much really worth it because you get a really well engineered little machine, and it essentially what it does, it's like a hotspot or like one of those the things they use for DMR and D-Star and all those things, but it's not any of that. It's all using analog. So you can use your cheap little Baofeng radio or any other analog handheld radio and talk into this thing, and it gives you access to link up with repeaters and nodes and chat room groups and all kinds of stuff. This is really quite a boon to hams that are restricted, live in apartments and can't put outside antennas. Or in my case, I just, I have the handheld radios that I don't use hardly at all. Sometimes they sit unused like for a whole year or so. But now I could be anywhere in the house, carry the little handheld with me, or even walk around the block. It has a range of a couple blocks, and I could keep in contact just with a handheld. Nice and clear audio. That the audio is so clear and crisp on this compared to the digital voice modes, because all the digital voice modes, D-Star and System Fusion and DMR, they all process your audio. They chop it up and try to resynthesize it in a really small bandwidth. So you're always going to have a lot of artifacts. It's not going to sound very natural. But D-Star, I mean All-Star is analog, so you're getting really high quality audio. And there are bridges on All-Star that allow you to cross over into Echolink, and I believe you could also cross over to IRLP. And some people also have links, bridges that'll go into the D-Star networks and that sort of thing. So it's a whole new world for me. I've never done any of this stuff, and it didn't involve me going out and buying a digital radio, which I really feel that it's uh, to buy a digital radio and not to use it to talk over the radio uh, and just to talk into a little hotspot. It's kind of defeats the purpose of radio. I mean, why invest in something like that just to be able to talk through the internet only when you have something that already works on radio and also can work this way. Uh, so yeah, I didn't show the inside of the box. I'm going to time out here. I'm going to have to drop it. Yeah, I didn't show the inside of the kit because it's really trivial. Like I said, there's only 8 parts that were soldered in there. So that's it. And I'm still learning. I really can't say very much. I've only made 2 contacts with it with friends that I know that I had the All-Stars. And it's I'm still learning. So I really can't really say too much more else about it. So back to net control. This is KP4MT.
Well, all right, Carol. Congratulations, and wow, I'm trying to get my mind around everything you just said, and lots of questions in my mind, and I won't hit you with them right now, but I'm definitely going to research this little gadget and try to find out more about it because I'd like to have that capability as well. And while I kind of process this, I'm going to turn it back over to Joel and see if he has any additional comments or questions. Go ahead, Joel. AI6DG, N6EMF here. Nice work, Carol.
Too many things in ham radio to know them all. Know-it-all knows nothing. So what I need to do is just Google and start researching to better understand. But the pies, Raspberry Pis, have just opened up so many avenues, not just to hams, but to everyone. I mean, because there's so many things you can hook up to them. They're so cheap. There's so many things you can do with them. But it's just amazing what you can throw off of a little USB power block. Throw Wi-Fi, Ethernet, an antenna on it, and talk around the world. Thanks for showing us that. Back to net, AI6DG.
Yeah, Carol. So this is N6EMF. Thanks, Joel. So the radio that you talk to it with is just an analog FM radio.
Yeah, I could talk with any of my rigs. I could talk with one of my handheld. I have a Kenwood FT60. I have a TYT, which is like
KP4MD, N6EMF.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I had to click another button here to activate my mic again. I could communicate just using a standard Kenwood handheld, which I've done. I could talk into it to my mobile rig, and I've done that as well. Actually, I connected this up to my roof antenna, and I can reach it from about 3 miles away, which is about the limit of line of sight for my antenna here. And remember, it only puts out like about half a watt or less, so it's not going to be very strong at a very far distance. But the idea is that it's something that you can use around your neighborhood or anywhere around the house, and have your handheld radio. And if you wanted to, you could set this up in a building, like in a workplace, if you wanted to have access to ham radio where you couldn't really get signal out, to hit repeaters or anything. You could set this up inside a building, and within the radius of the range of that device, you can use your handheld and still communicate out nice and clear because it streams it through the internet. Over.
Yeah, so thanks for that. Follow-up on that is, could you presumably hit the N6NA 2-meter repeater with it through some kind of network arrangement?
Well, no. The N6NA repeater, the site does not have internet access. That's the thing. If you want to have the repeater accessible to this sort of thing, you need to have on-site internet access, and that would be something that the club would have to invest in. And there was a question about that, about adding Echolink or All-Star to our repeater, and we would have to put it before the club to see if it was something that there was enough interest that it would be worthwhile. You're talking of an expense of, a significant expense. It's going to be somewhere close to $100 a month to maintain something like that, and to get it out to where we have a control point. So there are some clubs that do have. There's a couple that I know of. The Sierra Foothills Amateur Radio Club up in Auburn. Their repeater is accessible to through All-Star and Echolink also. And I believe the K6IOK repeater has something like that as well. That's another one up in Auburn. So there are a number of repeaters around that have that capability, but N6NA as of yet doesn't. So that's something that is a possibility for the future. Back to net.
All right. Well, thanks for that update, Carol. Nice work, and congratulations on your new kit that was easy to build. Well, one last question for the kit is, what was the favorite part? I mean, was it buttoning together the enclosure, or was it screwing together the SMA connector, unboxing it? What was the favorite part of building it for you?
Okay, I would have to say that the thing that I really enjoyed about it was soldering the little walkie-talkie module onto the printed circuit board. The module has castellated holes, and I don't know if Joel has ever worked with those before, but I really can't describe it. I don't think I can describe it on the air, but you'd have to see it in a picture. It's amazing how they built those things. I've never seen anything like that before. I had to learn it, and saw a little video on YouTube, and it was a breeze. To set this module right on top of another board, just line up all of the pads correctly, and then solder. There was about 18 different connections I had to solder the board. They all lined up, and it worked perfectly the first time. So back to net.
All right, well, thanks for sharing that about the castellated holes. I knew I could dredge something else up out of that, because we all have something that we adore about the kits that we build. So did you have any comments, Joel?
Just as he was describing that, I was on the webpage, hamprojects.info/Shari, S-H-A-R-I, and I had scrolled down to the point where I could see what she's talking about. It's like soldering a circuit board on top of a circuit board. So he's got these huge pads, and there's traces on the edge of the board that's mounting on the other board. And he just a big blob of solder, and it adheres to the two pads on the two boards. Interesting. Yeah, it is a different way of constructing things. I mean, that's kind of like old school. And my comment about, well, I don't see Ethernet. Well, that's me being old school again. I mean, who does Ethernet these days? Everything's Wi-Fi. Back to net, AI6DG.
Yeah, very good, Joel, AI6DG, N6EMF here. Yeah, my kid has an Xbox, and he asked me to hardwire. So we built a network connection between the main room with the router and his bedroom. We built, we did all the work. We pulled the cable. We cut the hole in the drywall. We put in a box and a new, RJ48 socket or whatever. And within a day, he was back to Wi-Fi, because the Wi-Fi actually worked better for him. So that caught me by surprise. But anyway, these wireless routers are doing sometimes better than wired. So yeah, you got a good point there. So we're pretty light tonight. We only have 3 operators online, and I wanted to ask a general question about SSTV. By the way, Joel, I'm going to go ahead and try to have a session where we can have an open forum to do slow scan TV on HF on Saturday afternoon. So an email has gone out about that, and we'll try to send out another one here in the next day or so. But the question I have is, how do you decide which transmit mode you're going to want to use? Last time, I think that KP4MD, Carol, picked PD120, and I was brought up on Martin 1. So let us hear about why you choose different modes.
I'll step in. I think some of it's tradition. There may be technical reasons for some modes in certain circumstances. For instance, we're here on this NAT is my only exposure, and I think we've always done Martin 1 and 2, and occasionally some of the PD modes. Now, the main reason to go between Martin 1 or 2 and the PD 120 or above is the resolution. I mean, if you've got a high detail image that's just going to get blurred out in 320 by 256, and you want to be able to see some of the details, I go to Martin PD 120 for the 64496. I'm sure there's a trade-off in maybe less noise resistance or something. Now, people who've primarily done slow scan on HF, I'm sure, are using entirely different modes for the same reason, the speed of the transmission and the noise resistance. But I don't have experience with that, so maybe Carol has more comment. AI6DG, back to net.
Thank you, Joel. N6EMF here. Carol, would you want to have anything to add?
This is KP4MD. Not really. For some reason, the ISS, the space station, prefers to use the PD mode. I don't know if it's less susceptible to fading or things like that. But I see a lot of Scotty used on HF. Scotty 2, of course, gives a lot faster, lower resolution picture. Scotty 1 takes a little longer. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to the HF. There should be some activity, especially on Saturday morning on 14-230. You'll see something coming through from the East Coast and the Midwest. If you go late in the afternoon, you don't get anything from the east of us. It just the band closes down real fast. So yeah, morning up until around noonish or a little bit in the early afternoon. It would be a good time to try some HF slow scan. The other thing, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh my, okay, it'll come back to me. So back to net control. This is KP4MD.
Yeah, thanks for noting that. So you talked about 14.230 in the morning here on the West Coast because, well, that's 20 meters. Do you have any advice or any insight into any attempts at 10 meter slow scan for local around 3 p.m. here? Is that going to be problematic for band conditions, you think?
No, that will not be problematic. As a matter of fact, if there's a band opening on 10 meters, once in a while, you do get I've had contacts on 10 meter slow scan. The last time was towards the peak of the last sunspot cycle. But yeah, there have been some band openings. So that's a possibility. You actually might make a contact. But those are kind of fleeting right now. They'll last like about half an hour or so, and then it closes down, opens up a little later. But usually those start like around 9 or 10 in the morning, and they'll go until a little bit past noon. That's what I'm seeing, what we're seeing over here. Back to net.
Comment.
Go ahead, N6EMF here. Is that Joel, AI6DG?
This is just a personal comment, and it's in reference to my station. I've had very poor luck with the in-town nets on 10 meters, and I'm not sure why. It might be my local noise floor or my antenna system. Another point is to look at the different modes available in SSTV. If you go to the tab to the right of the picture where you've got the different modes and you right-click on it, it brings up a list of the modes available, the name, the resolution, and how long it takes to transmit. Back to net, AI6DG.
Wow, it makes sense to me now what that means. So yeah, I can see, like, for instance, Scotty 2 is 71 seconds, for instance, and then there's one down there, P7 is 406 seconds. That's too long. We need faster ones, smaller pictures, thumbnails, postage stamps, anything, but not 400 seconds. N6EMF. So it's getting a little late. I can kick out one photo and have a brief explanation of it. It won't be a surprise, so if you'll get ready, I'll send it out over Martin 1, and we can do a quick discussion on it and then close the net down so I can get everybody ready for bed here. How's that? right. Well, this is the N6EMF here. I'll give a quick description of the photo. This is the actual car on the day that I picked up the vehicle, or rather, let me go back to last week. Last week's Slow Scan TV Net, I sent a photograph of a drawing that my young son sketched out for me for my birthday and had it all colored up. But it was my dream car at the time, and now this is an actual photo of the car. That I think it was the first day that I took delivery of the car, and it was that's the car right there. So anyway, it's a black '99 Porsche Carrera, and that's the day that I took it home. And that's a short and sweet description. Black shiny car with it's lowered. It's a aftermarket racing lowering kit, and there it is. So N6EMF here. I'll turn it over to Joel for any comments or questions.
Nice photo. I was looking a while looking at the reflections to figure out what I was looking at, especially with it starting at the top and down. Don't necessarily see enough at the beginning to realize you're looking at a car and reflections. Hope you got air conditioning in Sacramento with black paint, but I imagine you don't always care. You're just having a good time driving.
Air conditioning works well. Is quite an interesting story to that, but it works very well, and it keeps everybody cool in the summertime. No problemo. Thank you, Joel. N6EMF. How about Carol?
Yeah, N6CMF, this is KP4MD. Actually, I was, if you hit on the History tab and you click the left arrow a couple times, and if you still have the history from pictures from our previous net, you'll see the drawing of the Porsche 911, and I'm showing that on YouTube right now just to compare. And I noticed the resemblance right away. That's quite a good drawing right there of the photograph. But to be very honest with you, when I first saw the diagonal stripes at the top of the picture, the first thing that came to my mind was an old TV program that was called Max Headroom that had a, I don't know if you ever got to see that, Wilson, but it had this character that was, he kind of died in an accident, and he was virtualized. I think the last thing he saw before he passed away in this accident was a sign that said Max Headroom, and that's the reason that stuck in his mind for his name. And he lived inside the company's computer, and it was really weird. But anyway, back to net control. This is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta.
Yeah, well, thanks for that fun connection there, Carol. Yeah, I remember Max Headroom. I remember it from maybe the 1980s. I didn't watch it, but it might have been something that came on HBO or one of those things. Yeah, so thanks for that. I just wanted to kind of send out something to make a connection to the last photo that I sent last week, and from here I'll make a transition. I really love taking photographs, but really kind of lost some faith in photography after having lost a lot of photographs due to a data loss here in our family. So we lost a lot of data, and it was just crushing, just emotionally crushing to lose probably thousands of photos to a data problem. And fortunately, we went through a phase where we were printing the vast majority of anything that was made, but we got to a point where we weren't printing photos anymore, and we did lose a lot. So I've kind of turned away from photography a little bit, but I think I'm going to get back into it and start photographing again, and I'll have some more interesting pictures to share. So thanks for the review of my car, and I do appreciate it. It's been a fun show and tell tonight. N6EMF here.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I just want to say I have all my photos, digital photos, also saved in data, and I keep them backed up on a network attached storage that has two drives that are mirror images of each other. It's called a RAID system. I think Joel probably knows about that. So if one of the drives fails, the other one can always recover the information. That's what you really need. You need to have uh, what they call redundancy in order to avoid the loss. And these drives all fail eventually, even the solid state drives. So I'm really sorry about that loss, but I can imagine what it was like. This is KP4MD.
Yeah, thanks, Carol, for the suggestion. I can talk about it later. At that time, I did have a network-attached storage. It wasn't a NAS. I mean, it was not a RAID, rather. It was a NAS, but it's an interesting story where I was rebuilding a computer that had all of our pictures on it and was relying on the backup network-attached storage device to provide that backup function. And guess what happened? It failed while I was rebuilding the computer. So that's how I ended up losing it. And but anyway, thinking critically about it, that wasn't a backup, right? I should have had another backup, N6EMF. So at this time, I guess what we can do is we'll get ready to close out the net here in just a moment. And any last comments or announcements for the general net or for the audience? I want to thank everybody out there on YouTube that's observing and watching and serving as a really good audience for us. And hopefully you're learning and progressing with your own SSTV interests. Do you have anything else to add, Carol, KP4MD?
No, I just want to thank you very much, Wilson, for your serving as net control tonight, and also for wonderful pictures and a great discussion. Also, Joel, thank you for your picture as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week, which would be the 23rd of December. This is Kilo Papa for Mike Delta.
Well, very good. One more for Joel, AI6DG. Any last comment?
Look forward to the get together this weekend and for next week and all the other weeks. Practice our trade, well, our hobby, whatever you want to call it. Practice our craft. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right, it's been fun. It's been real. So I want to say thanks to all who participated in tonight's SSTV Net, and that goes for both Carol and Neil, rather Joel tonight. I keep thinking about Neil. And we hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. And for those of you that I'm not in contact with in the next couple of weeks, we'll wish you a happy holiday season and a Merry Christmas. This net is officially closed at 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. This is Wilson, November 6th, Echo Mike Foxtrot, wishing all of you a good evening.